The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, and I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thanks for joining us again on just another radio adventure. Once again, as I always start out, go to stewart.com/radio. That's where you can see this show if you want to go to the YouTube channel, and you could see the tremendous guests, find out what's going on right here in the studio, and even access past shows for the last couple years. That's right, at stewart.com/radio. A tremendous show as always. Today, we're going to talk about real estate, money, the Greater Houston Builders Association. That's right. Some shows would stop there, but no, we even have an insurance segment later in the show as always. So let's get down to business right now as we welcome Jamie Fallon. She is with NB Realty. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Bill. Appreciate it.
Well, real estate, let's tell people, first of all, a little bit about your company.
So, Jamie Fallon Premier Realty Team is a subsidiary of NB Elite Realty, which is the head broker down in Houston. We've got offices in Florida, Chicago. We're just branching out into New York. But for right now, I kind of head up the team here in Houston. We've got about 450 agents or a little bit more here in Houston. And then I've got 28 on my team right now that kind of work directly for me underneath the umbrella of NB Elite Realty.
It's a lot of real estate professionals.
Yes, it is.
In one sentence.
It is. And, you know, what I love so much about my brokerage is that we're all investors as well. So not only do I have a pipeline of buyers and sellers, people I have investors with, we also I build, I flip. And most of my agents on my team, I teach them how to get there. I build and I flip.
Yes. Famous last word. Somebody said that once. So let's tell people, and when I looked at your biography, one of the things you talk about building, let's tell people you actually built your first house at age
22. I think I was crazy, insane. I just got out of Texas A&M University. Whoop, for any of my Aggies out there. And I moved up to Fort Worth for my job. I was a cute little bitty girl, and I was calling on veterinarians. So I didn't start off in real estate. So I did pharmaceutical sales. And then from there, I thought, I loved Lincoln Logs growing up. I loved Legos. And so my parents always says, why weren't you an architect? And so I contacted a builder who was in the area and got the architectural renderings, and there it was. And then from there, I just kept doing it. So I would live in a place for 2-3 years, and then I would turn around, wait for it to appreciate, and then take that money and segment it onto the next property.
This is early on.
Early on, yeah.
And I wonder how many people, as you mentioned the term Lincoln Logs, I wonder how many people can identify. I know I can.
I'm dating myself.
Well, I had Lincoln Logs as a young fella, and under the Christmas tree, I can hear when you shake the box, I can hear how those Lincoln Logs sounded.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess their Lincoln Logs were the in advance of Legos.
Yes, they were.
So first Lincoln Logs, here come the Legos.
First Lincoln Log, yeah. And mine, remember, they had this circular tube, and you dump them
Wood,
all out.
all natural.
I never had enough. I always wanted to build mansions, and so here I am now flipping a $1.2 million property in the Katy area. It's 6,186 square feet that I'm remodeling for a client. So I bought it for him, and then we're remodeling it, and he'll live in it for a while, and then we'll flip it.
Interesting. And we think about real estate as far as geographically. You mentioned the Katy area. Yeah. Your office is, am I correct in saying your office is in the Katy area?
No, it's actually in Montrose. So we're right there on West Alabama. So I cover Inner Loop, primarily Inner Loop. I love the Montrose area. I do a lot of homes in Montrose. I'm building in the Emancipation Park area. It's being completely gentrified right now in the 3rd Ward. It's about a mile from Montrose, a mile from downtown. It's kind of that prime little, I call it the triangle, where they all kind of meet. And then most of my buyers and sellers are in that West Houston, Katy area. I have a lot of engineers as clients, people that are expats that move here from other countries to do oil and gas business.
We're talking with Jamie Fallon, real estate professional, investor, broker, owner,
Yes.
all those things. Let's tell people, as far as when people ask you right now, Jamie, here in the last couple of weeks, they say, hey, Jamie, how's the market? What are you saying?
So the market right now we're no longer in the crazy COVID bubble. Out in the suburbs, you're still seeing houses go quickly. There's less, you're not having the 20 offers anymore. So we're more like it was right before COVID, just a nice, smooth market. Now, interest rates are causing a little bit of buyers to back off a little bit. And so it's allowing our inventory to start to come back up to normal, which is nice for people that are buying. But in the same instance, people aren't going $20,000 to $50,000 over the list price. And so I think it's forcing sellers to come back out of the cloud and go, okay, now we need to really look at normal comps like they were before COVID. And so houses are not going to appreciate as rapidly, yet they are going to continue to appreciate it at a rate that's just nice and steady and not the big boom of COVID.
As you use the term normal.
Normal, yeah, normal.
Like in past years.
Like in past years when the world
normal,
wasn't shut
right?
down and everyone thought they were going to die. Yeah,
So as we think about that, here we are at the end of the year. So if you were to predict, look ahead, end of 2022, as you start looking, and I'm sure as a planner and business professional, you're looking already at 2023.
Yes.
What are you seeing here in the next 6-8 months, if you were to speculate?
So most of my lenders have said that interest rates are going to slightly go up. And what we're finding is they're up and down, up and down, up and down. So what I'm hoping for is over the winter that everything slows down a little bit more, which it typically does in the Christmas months. People are spending money on Christmas and Thanksgiving and holidays. So I think what's happening right now is we're getting an influx of buyers from the East and West Coast because they can sell their home there for $1 million. It's a little shoebox, and they can come here and buy a mansion in their terms for, $600,000, $700,000, and they're paying cash for it. So in Texas in particular, people are starting to move at a rapid pace to Texas. We don't have state tax. We do have higher property taxes. So we're seeing here people move here. And what that's going to do, it's going to create a lot of individuals not being able to pay their property taxes. So we just had a new law go into effect, giving us an increase in the property tax break on your homes. Okay,
now wait a second. Did that happen? That's good news.
It happened.
So
Yes.
that would be effective for 2022?
I don't want to lie to you. I think it occurs in 2023.
Okay.
But you're also getting a larger allowance for a homestead exemption. So they increase the amount that you can write off on your homestead.
That's good news.
Yeah, it's great news. So it also causes those folks from East and West Coast to go, oh, I want to move there. We have a little less strict restrictions on our properties in Houston. So people like me that want to build in an unrestricted area, there's out-of-town investors coming in. I'm seeing a lot of buyers coming over from China as well. So it's crazy. I've never seen anything like this in all the years I've been in Houston.
Well, I did some research here lately with different states, California, New York, and other places. And then there are those maybe 5 or 6 states that do not have state income tax. I mentioned this last show. But if you were to take someone earning, let's say, $5 million in California, they're paying more than 50% of their earnings in
On
taxes.
A home. Yeah.
In taxes.
Yeah.
So that means that's a combination of the federal and the state
Right.
income taxes. And then when you remove the state income tax element, you have a lot left over. Now,
Right.
that's just California, and that's not mentioning all the
Right.
other financial burdens on someone living there.
Right.
But yes, when you remove that and you come to Texas or Tennessee or Wyoming, even better yet, there are so many
More
benefits.
land. Yeah.
So people are coming here. All right, let's take that concept of people coming here. In the last 10 buyers that you've helped, let's say,
Yeah.
last 10 or 20, how many of them have been from out of state?
7.
There you go. So
Solid.
where
Solid
were the
7.
where did the other 3 come
Solid.
from?
Austin.
Oh,
Austin.
how about that?
Yeah. So they're, like I said, people in Austin, they're being priced out of their homes as well. I mean, Austin's the new California. I've got a lot of folks moving from Colorado as well because they're getting priced out of their homes. So they're coming to Texas, guys. So this is the new norm, and we need to be prepared.
So I think this is also a word that when we see and hear national news saying about the market getting softer, Texas is different.
Texas is different, and
it's not still the rage that it was. But
I know, and I hate it when people say that to me, and I'm like, no. Let's think about Texas. Texas, guys, let's face it, we're our own little nation out here. We've always prided ourselves on being that own little nation, and eventually, it is what it is. People are coming here in droves because we are our own little nation, and everybody knows it. Everybody in this room knows it.
Give us a quick word on some of the other things you're doing. You're helping people with leasing.
Yeah, I dabble in leases, only for my investors, though. I've had investors since I started in real estate. And so, when I find them a property, I help them renovate it, get it ready for their tenants, and then we go from there. So I constantly have houses for leases just through my investors.
Jamie Fallon, Premier Realty Team. Jamie, before we close the segment, what else do you want people to know?
Be prepared, guys. If you've got a mortgage on your property, make sure that A, you're using a good lender. B, you refinance when it's appropriate. C, when you close on a property, make sure you use a reputable company like Stewart Title. Like Stewart Title. So you've got all the bells and whistles there with the insurance that you get on your property. Make sure that there's no liens on the property. So it pays to have a team of people. And that is what my company offers, is an all-inclusive one-stop shop. You've got staging. I can remodel it. I've got partners in Stewart Title, and I've got partners all over with contractors. And most of my contractors are through the Greater Houston Builders Association. So it's super important to have those in the pipeline when you buy a house or sell.
Indeed it is. Jamie, let's tell people how they can reach you.
JamieFallon.com, or just shoot me a text or give me a call at 281-763-9825. If you want to know a little bit more about our brokerage, it's nbeliterealty.com.
Where can I buy some Lincoln Logs here in 2022?
Oh,
Do they still make them?
I don't know. I would kill. Yeah, I bet eBay. Yeah.
All right, we're on the way to find Lincoln Logs. You can call Jamie at 281-763-9825. Thanks for being with us, Jamie.
Bill, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate Stewart Title.
As we continue, it's time to talk to Amy Bertrand. She is the CEO of the Greater Houston Builders Association right here, in Houston, Texas. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, what a super thing. We hear so much about the Greater Houston Builders Association. Let's tell people about it.
So we're a trade association. Our members do everything from remodeling one bathroom a year all the way up to building thousands of homes for a volume builder like a D.R. Horton or a KB Homes, and they do custom builds as well. And then the folks who do the roofing, the land development, the engineers, the lawyers, the mortgage brokers, they're all members of our association.
So many components, isn't it? To building a home, there's so much involved, let alone the selling and all the other things that happen with it.
Indeed.
So let's tell people, as far as how you became associated with the Greater Houston Builders Association, let's tell people that story.
So they were looking for a new CEO about 2 years ago in the heart of COVID. And I knew GHBA from some advocacy work I had done previously with the Houston Apartment Association. I've also worked for some of our local government entities like Harris County and the City of Houston. And coming home to the builders just felt right. It was the right opportunity at the right time, and I'm thrilled to be with them.
Well, as far as the Builders Association, who should belong to that? Is that open to real estate professionals? How does it work?
Absolutely. We have a ton of realtor members who work with our members to sell new homes that are constructed, that work with our custom builders, that work with our remodelers. If you're doing flooring, if you're doing roofing, if you're doing sheetrock, we have a home for you at the association.
And as far as, again, the scope of builders, you mentioned like a D.R. Horton, Perry Homes. These are big companies, but yet in many communities, there's a lot of builders that are smaller, and then there's some that are smaller that are selling very expensive homes. So give us an idea a little bit more about that scope, because it's all over here in Houston, this big city.
Sure. So we have anything and everything. We have, as I mentioned, the remodeler who might do one bathroom a year, all the way up to folks who are doing multi-million-dollar custom homes, and then the volume producers. So we have about 1,600 member companies. That makes us the largest local home builders association in Texas and the third largest in the country. Of course, I've got my sights set on number 2. But we really just have a plethora of offerings depending on where you are and who your target customer is in that market.
And give us an idea of some of the benefits, again, of being a member there of the association and how they would become a member.
So a number of our members find it valuable that they don't just become a member of the Greater Houston Builders Association, which covers the 11-county region around Harris County and Harris and Houston, but they also become a member of the Texas Association of Builders and the National Association of Home Builders. And in a lot of cases, especially as folks are starting out in this business, they're looking to set themselves apart. And they do that by coming and taking classes, receiving education from us, receiving accreditations through our National Association of Home Builders. But they really also get the opportunity to create those trusted relationships. So when we go through something like we recently have with COVID, and maybe all hell breaks loose and we don't know where to find the type of siding that we've always been used to or the paint color that we've always needed, they have
appliances. We heard a lot about appliances and lumber prices.
Garage doors, you name it. We've probably had a shortage of it recently. But they have options amongst our members of somebody else who provides that type of stone. And in a lot of cases, it's our vendor members working with each other to acquire what their clients need in order to maintain those trusted relationships, even in tough times.
Well, all times present challenges to any profession and help us be nimble, adjust to those challenges. But it has been interesting as I've been tuned into what's going on with the builders that, yes, they run out of one thing and somehow they're able to make it work or find something else. But, yeah, we heard a lot about lumber prices. But is that settling down a little bit as far as the lumber?
It's certainly come down. We're not in a place where the prices are at pre-COVID levels, but it is not at those double and triple rates that it was at kind of the height of COVID when everyone decided it was time to do an addition or move into a new home. We're seeing a softening there, just like we are with the housing market.
Yeah, in fact, and when those lumber things came on, I was so glad I built my deck years ago. Oh, yeah. So I got a good deal on the deck. But give us an idea as far as trends that you're seeing, because with the pandemic, after the pandemic, so that would work into the mix of what kind of things are going to happen next and trends that have emerged. Give us an idea about that.
So we certainly see our members moving out in our region. So we've typically had Houston and Harris County at the heart of our membership, and maybe Montgomery County and Fort Bend County there too. But as folks are looking for more land, maybe they're adding a family member who's come to live with them. Maybe they're extending the use of their home for more work or play there at home instead of doing some traveling. They're looking for more space. And the short answer is we don't have more space inside Harris County and the city of Houston. And so they're looking farther afield to communities like Waller and Montgomery County, even as far north as Willis and beyond, and then down in Brazoria County.
No doubt about it. We are expanding in every direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing. We're talking with Amy Bertrand with the Greater Houston Builders Association. What are some of the other things that we should know that the builders are dealing with? And let's take some of the larger builders. I guess you're tuned into all the challenges and successes they're having.
So as we're seeing growth into communities that haven't experienced that development in recent years, we're seeing a little bit of pushback from some of those outlying communities as they struggle with how to best meet the needs of new residents. So we've been engaging pretty heavily with those local city council members, those county commissioners, to try and find the right solution for their communities as they experience that growth so that they can create rules that make sense for their communities, but that don't become overly burdensome to new homeowners and drive up the cost of housing. Frankly, the market's driving up the cost of housing enough. We don't need burdensome regulation to do that as well.
Well, we saw maybe 6 months ago, 8 months, or a year ago that the builders didn't have inventory. And the price was way up there. And I'm going to think of a large builder that I know that was in Montgomery County, where I know I was checking with my friend there every 6 weeks. It seemed like he goes, "Hey, we have another price increase, another $4,000, another $5,000." Okay, so the pricing went up. Not much inventory. What's it like right now? I'm hearing where some builders are having incentives as well.
We're still exceptionally underbuilt for the number of people.
We're still underbuilt.
For the number of people moving to our community, we do not have the housing stock to meet their needs right now. So as Jamie, I think, alluded to, we're coming to a more normalized market here. Not that 100 people on a waiting list for a new master plan community. I mean, those kind of numbers are unsustainable. I think we're coming back to a little bit more tenable number.
Like anything's ever been normal in Houston, Texas, at least since I've been here. I don't know. That's a whole nother program. But in the meantime, that's fascinating. Give us an idea of what you do and your team as far as on a day-to-day basis at the Greater Houston Builders Association, because you have quite a team also behind you, right?
We do. So in addition to putting on events that allow people to create trusted relationships and get to know what's going on in the market, we put on classes on everything from how to create a proper building envelope to testing of soils, and more than you ever wanted to know.
That sounds fascinating,
It
Amy.
is. But then we also spend a great deal of our time advocating for the industry. So as I mentioned, as new regulation comes up, we want to be a part of the conversation. We want to make sure that we don't have unduly burdensome regulation that drives up the cost of housing and makes it harder for our members to do business. Certainly, as we've seen the cost of labor and materials going up, we're spending a ton of time. Land, absolutely. We're educating our local elected officials on what that means for the cost of housing and why changing a permit fee or restricting vegetation on a site can really cause a hindrance to people getting into those homes. For every $1,000 you raise the price of a home, just $1,000, it knocks hundreds of families out of our market regionally.
Fascinating. Also, I understand that you're involved with some charitable initiatives as well. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So our members don't just deal with bricks and sticks. They really deal with the heart of a community. They are used to building communities and building homes for families, and that extends well beyond just their paying customers. They've started 2 charities out of our local Home Builders Association. Homemade Houston, which their mission is to reduce and prevent homelessness in our community. They help do capacity building for a number of our local shelters and charities that work with homeless and potentially homeless individuals. We also have Operation Finally Home, which provides mortgage-free housing to returning veterans who have been disabled in the line of duty, as well as first responders. And our members spend a great deal of their time and their financial ability toward building homes for those programs, toward re-outfitting shelters, and really making a huge impact that you don't ever see when you go to buy your individual home.
Before we close the segment, what else do you want people to know?
I would love for you to come join us. Help us get to
Can I join?
Too. Yes, anyone can join if they've got an interest in home building. You can find all of the details on our website at ghba.org, or you can give us a call up at the office.
Well, the number is
281-890-0970.
Again?
281-890-0970.
And the website is GH for Houston, BA.org. Thanks for being with us, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
As we continue, it's time to talk money. Oh, yeah, we have money experts on the show, Elizabeth Rankin Rice and Robin Hargrove. They are with Cadence Bank. Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us, Bill. Good to be here.
Well, and it's super to see you here. Let's tell people, first of all, both of you, first of all, Elizabeth, you have been in the money world for how many years?
27.
How about that?
27.
And Robin?
Since rates were 18%, I'm not going to tell the years,
Oh,
but
my
it was
goodness.
a long time ago. Okay.
I don't know when that was, but that was
In the 80s.
Was it? You know, I saw a graph. It's funny you mentioned the 18%. I saw a graph not too long ago through the history of, I don't know when it was, but was 18 or so percent the highest it ever was?
Yes. And for
'Cause that's what I
reference,
was
it was the
thinking.
early 80s. And people still bought houses at 18%.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never bought a house at 18%. So let's tell people, how about you, Elizabeth? You've been in the money world for so long. Let's tell people about Cadence Bank now. And you guys are relatively
We are
new with the
relatively
company, but
new.
not new to the business. So let's tell people about Cadence Bank.
Well, one of the reasons we joined Cadence Bank was product. We literally have a Rolodex of, yes, we have it. Do we do loans with a TIN number? Yes, we do. Do we do foreign national loans? Yes, we do. Construction loans, builder loans.
doctor loans, dentist loans.
The products go on, which is one of the reasons we were looking for an avenue of product.
So you're going right down the list, checking the boxes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know a product we don't have, really.
Yeah, the more loan programs we have, the more people we can serve. And Jamie earlier talked about east side of Houston. We have loan programs that allow 0 down, no MI, fixed rate product, contributions toward closing costs. We never had that elsewhere.
What's MI, Robin?
MI is mortgage insurance.
Thank you.
Well, there you go.
I'm going to be the one that asked that question.
Okay. What is MI? Well, one of the things I think about when I talk to people about lending, first of all, you guys are two tremendous reasons why we should seek local help, because there's so many different loans you can get, and people may not know which one is best for them, whether it's an individual or a family. So they need that versus going outside to an 800 number or something like that. So let's talk a little bit about that, if you would, because it's so important. Because there's so many factors, right?
Absolutely. I was going to mention this one couple over the weekend. First of all, Robin and I both work probably 7 days a week, as long as everybody else does. If we're awake, we'll answer the phone. But over the weekend, you brought something up. A client said to me, well, what do we qualify for? And my answer was, you can qualify for this, but what you're comfortable with may be this. Because you don't want to be house poor. Right. You can get a mortgage and really push your level of qualifying, but if you're not comfortable with the payment, then I don't want to make you unhappy once you get into the house. So, and I gave this quick example of this couple that I've known for years. She came by to buy their dream home. It was a couple $1 million, and she said, "Do I qualify?" I go, "Yes." And she could tell my hesitation. She says, "Do you think we're overbuying?" And I said, "A little, yeah." And I felt her voice kind of go down, and I said, "I can absolutely get you this mortgage, but are you okay with that payment down the road?" Because we approve people on gross income, not net. Right. So anyway,
plus, aren't there other things go up in life in general?
Absolutely.
So don't we have to have some planning and padding, so to speak, right, when the taxes go up and when these other things go up?
Absolutely. It depends on your career and your profession and what your future is for income on what you want to be spending for that home. If you're on a fixed income and you're going to get the top of what you qualify for, I'm going to talk to them about, you're going to always be this house poor potentially. So we're going to talk about that a little bit with the client. But the other reason I wanted to go into was using a local lender is because the listing agent likes a local lender. And why do they like a local lender? Because they can call them, they can talk to them, they can reach them. So if you make an offer and there's 5 offers on a home and your lender is local, the listing agent's going to give your offer a little more weight because your local lender is going to be your cheerleading section. Listing agents call all the time asking, is this a valid approval? And I go, I used to underwrite for Fannie Mae. I've done my due diligence. This borrower is rock solid. And so I'm trying to talk that listing agent into taking my client above other clients. So local lenders make a difference all the way around.
Mm-hmm, I agree.
And there's so many factors and components to the real estate transaction, with the realtor being close to the lender being close to the person borrowing the money. I mean, you're able to communicate quicker. And what I like, sure, texting is a big thing, I heard. But I like being able to look at someone and talk to them, especially for something as important as a couple $100,000, $1 million, whatever it is. I like to have that relationship.
Well, and we have the relationship with the local appraisers, and we have the relationship with the local title companies. So it's all about the builder, local builders, about sometimes the builder doesn't finish that house to the last minute, and we get to call them and go, hey, I know you've done lots of business with you. Can you just send me some pictures over? I know we're going to squeeze this in at the last minute. You're squeezing it in at the last minute, but we know them and we trust them. There's a big factor about knowing who you do work with.
And that's a key word, knowing. The other thing is that both of you have been Houstonians for, I know for sure, Elizabeth, I met you, I don't know.
Some years ago.
Was it that long?
I think so.
Yeah, I can remember the property. No, it is a while.
I remember where. Do you remember where?
I remember it was in relationship to the property on Fountain View, which is called the Tanglewood, that I bought a condo. But where was it? I forget.
I thought the HAR rally.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
But anyway, It's been a while.
It's been a while.
So, but my point is, not only do you know the components of the transaction, how to help people, the different loans, but you also know geographically that's a help. You know Houston, Texas.
Buying the areas.
You know this side of town. That's
right.
Yeah.
We ask that.
And we do try to be honest with our client. If a client asked me, would this be a better buy compared to this other buy? And I went, well, this particular area is going to hold its value longer than another area. Now, if I don't know, I won't answer the question, but there's certain areas, if you're buying in West U, your value is going to hold up better than most areas of Houston.
The Heights.
And the Heights. And so when they ask me comparing different areas, I'll say, traditionally that's a stronger area. If you're looking for value, that's it.
And you're right. If I don't know the area, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
respond. I wouldn't respond. Sorry.
Well, and then the other thing is, as I think about it, in the real estate transaction, the lender, the realtor, the title company, we all become ambassadors for Houston, Texas.
Absolutely.
Especially for people that are coming from out of town, and that's more relevant than ever.
Right.
We're ambassadors.
We're ambassadors for our client. I do feel like I'm trying to protect their interest, whether it be like, hey, make sure you claim your exemption so your taxes are lower next February.
That's
you can
right.
do it now. I want to make sure if they're coming from out of state, they don't know about homestead exemptions. They don't know about over 65, or they don't know about veteran exemptions, and they don't know. And we're their ambassadors to help them be happier here in Houston and get the best deal, the best numbers, just a better deal here in Houston. We're ambassadors. Mm-hmm.
To file your homestead, because that started this year, the homestead exemption for the filing.
Any time of year. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Ambassadors.
Yeah, we are.
The people we like to work with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're protecting their interest.
Well, that is so important because it takes teamwork to make the dream work.
Yeah,
I love that.
Without the right team, it could be a nightmare, right?
Right.
So,
you're only as good as your front people.
exactly.
As your support people, rather. Sorry.
Well, so here we are near the end of the year. Can you imagine? Look how the time has flown. So what do you see in your industry in helping people, the buyers and the buyers out there, the lenders, or the borrowers rather?
Borrowers.
I knew it was a B word.
Right.
So what do you see for the end of the year and the beginning of the next year?
As far as rates or
just about the business in general right here in Houston. And rates. I mean, everyone wants to know. You're probably asking 20
we look all the
times a
time
day.
in our little 8-ball to see what the
What's the
rates are
rate?
going to go.
Yeah. What's going to happen?
And you're right. They've gone up and down every single day, and they've kind of plateaued a little bit. They did jump in February. I mean, the anticipation is they're going to be going up. They've gone up. We still have other products that we can use if people are looking for that magic number, whatever that rate is. I don't know have you seen any new forecasts for rates?
I don't know. The new forecast we're seeing are they're going to keep going up. The Fed's still going to keep raising numbers through the end of this year. But then there's a lot of people saying that next March they could start going down a little bit, which is part of the reason we came to Cadence Bank is, for example, our construction product. You're building a home now. We lock in your rate. When your home's finished, we'll float you down to current market. So you're protected on both sides, if need be.
And not without even
you're
asking.
You're protected without even asking. So that was a huge selling factor for me because other companies will say, well, if the rates are better, we'll refinance you. That costs a little money, sometimes a lot of money. We've got a better product. So, talk to a loan officer that's going to protect you. Some people I may say, you do a 10-year ARM, save the money. You're going to move in 5 years anyway. You already know it. Let's save the money in the payment. So, get an educated loan officer that's going to protect your financial interest and talk money with you.
It sounds like you have a lot of tools in your tool belt, Elizabeth.
We do now. Yeah, we have a lot of tools to fall back on if somebody doesn't want the mid to upper fives on a 30-year fix. We have a 10-year ARM that's in the upper fours.
Right.
Very nice. Well, before we close this important money segment, what else do you want people to know? Robin?
Cadence Bank, where we're at, has a lot of products. I can talk low to moderate income, which has some very nice features, up to multi-million-dollar purchases, some with very little money down, even at multi-million. So we went there because there's a lot of products that we can serve your needs. We can even close in the name of an LLC, and that's unheard of as a lender. So would love to talk to all of your buyers, people wanting to build, people want to buy, remodel. We've got all those programs.
And I'll end it with, we are very seasoned loan officers. We're kind of a tag team, friendship, working partnership type thing, and we work 7 days a week.
Sounds good to me. Well, you know what they say, it's not work unless you'd rather be doing something else, and I wouldn't rather be doing anything else than talking to you all. Let's tell people how they can reach you, Robin.
Hi, Robin Hargrove. Just go ahead and call me at 713-582-9487. Call or text anytime. Thanks so much.
Again, the number is?
713-582-9487.
And Elizabeth
Rankin Rice, 713-875-6444. That's my cell, direct number, text, call anytime.
Again, the number?
713-875-6444.
Thank you for being with us today, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Stewart Title.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is again, the icing on the cake, the insurance cake, that is, John Bramlett. John, welcome.
Thank you, Captain. Always a pleasure to be here.
We are again. And 3 Aggies are in the room, just saying, you, Jamie, and Robin.
Well, I'm going to start singing the war hymn in a second.
Well, we could do that. Yeah. But in the meantime, insurance marches on. And
Hullabaloo, connect. I'm sorry.
Is that? I don't know the song, but they're starting to sing great. So, but as far as real estate goes and insurance, you always bring forth tremendous things.
Well, I know that a lot of our listeners, or all of our listeners, have an interest in real estate. And a good number of our listeners are, realtors or related. And because our listeners are such a strong audience and an intelligent audience and a professional audience, that many of them are on boards of directors of industry associations. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about directors and officers coverage and why that would be important for a professional organization within the real estate world to consider, to make sure that they're protecting, the folks that are providing the volunteer leadership for those organizations.
Directors
and officers
coverage. That's a new one on me. Well, let's go.
So there's really 3 plans that can be rolled into one or put together to provide that coverage. So there's the actual directors and officers, and within that can be an employment practice liability coverage, which would be very helpful to have, and we'll talk about those specifics. And then we've talked in the past about a general liability plan, but it would be worth having that general liability coverage as well if you're on the board of a professional association. So when you look at a directors and officers plan, there are kind of 3 areas that they provide coverage. So one is governance. So that would be in case there was a concern that maybe there was an improper election, or maybe there was a breach in contract. So they would provide some coverage there, maybe improper funding or an improper fundraiser took place. And again, these are situations where a member or someone would feel like they had been mishandled or something was done inappropriately. So that's, again, that purpose of the coverage. There's also a fiduciary liability aspect to it. So, if there's alleged fraud or misuse of funds, if there was some improper, if there was maybe a financial oversight, that there would be some protection in case a suit was brought because of those. And then the last one is the employment practice liability, and that at times can be the greatest reason or the greatest area of cause or concern. So, for example, if the association had staff and there was an improper employee classification, that could bring a suit. Sexual harassment or racial or gender discrimination, defamation, if there's a retaliation against a whistleblower or you were failed to accommodate those that need assistance. Those could be reasons where a suit could be brought. And having that directors and officers coverage protects the members of the board, so the directors and the officers, but it also protects the employees. And in most plans, that definition of an employee is what you would normally think, but also volunteers or independent contractors, 1099 employees, consultants, and as I said, volunteers. So that would provide that type of coverage.
Well, what's interesting, so many things that you have this coverage, very important coverage, but also as I think about the menu at Stewart Insurance, all the things that you have have so many tools available to help people in whatever their profession and even personal insurance. It's amazing.
Well, it is, and if you are part of a professional association and you've made the commitment to be on the board and be a leadership and volunteer your time and your efforts and your talent, and in many cases, some of your funds, it's important to know that you are protected. So if there is an issue, that there is some protection that is provided. And then again, that's where also the general liability would come into play, where if you have a lot of commercial property, then you would want to make it a business owner's policy. So you've got your business owner's plan. So you have both the general liability, which would help if somebody got hurt, a customer got hurt, or a client or guest got hurt. If there was damage to the property that you have, or there was damage to the property of the place you rent. So if we rented out the conference room here at iHeartMedia and KPRC, and there was some damage to that general liability plan would help, cover those costs. And then there's the advertising injury aspect. So if somebody feels like you slandered them or libeled them, that's where that plan would come into play. So, and then if you made it a business owner's plan, then if you had some commercial business property, files, furniture, computer, server, printer, those kinds of things, then you could have some coverage there as well.
That sounds tremendous.
Well, it's a great tool, and it's one that not all boards, especially volunteer boards, have, but those that that are in the real estate world that would have an interest in that, then we can help you with that. I'm working with a board right now on building them a plan.
And one of the great things, too, is whatever the insurance need is for someone when they call Stewart Insurance, your people are great at helping them, walking them through the potential coverage, and also helping them, like in this case, as I'm thinking about this kind of insurance, that your people would help them ask questions that they may not know to ask, or even answer questions before they're asked.
Well, absolutely. The one we're working on now, this organization, they have 4 events each year that are beyond what's a normal, what would be considered their normal cost or their normal daily doing business. And at those events, there is alcohol sold. So that takes into consideration. So our insurance partners are going to want to know, what are those events? How many people attend? Because depending upon the attendance number can affect the premium. And then, is there alcohol sold? And so if there is, then there's some things about that. Or if you have a fundraising event that includes some sort of a sporting event. There's some sporting events like hay riding that's not covered. But if it's
archery,
yeah. but let's say you have a golf tournament. If you get hurt playing, swinging the club, there's not coverage. But if you're a spectator and you get hit by a golf ball, there could be coverage.
Could be trouble. Yeah.
So again, it's knowing that and taking the time to make sure that you're properly insured, whether you're a professional, board for a professional organization, or if you're an individual with your home and auto. It's always important to understand what coverage you're taking on, what responsibility you're taking on versus the responsibility you're placing onto the insurance company.
That's amazing. All the potential perils that we face in business and leading a board or being on a board. It's interesting, but the beauty is that there is an answer. There is a way that you can be properly insured to protect yourself. And your menu is right there at stewartinsurance.com. So many great things. This is fascinating, John.
Absolutely. I mean, it really is. We enjoy the opportunity to make sure that folks are properly insured, that they understand that the coverage they have, and that whether you are an individual or a family, independent title and attorney agent, a real estate broker, a lender, property management firm, that we can provide, the plans in place to, one, give you some counsel on how to minimize those risks, but also give you an aspect of being able to offset those risks with the proper insurance plan.
Yeah, the other thing that strikes me is we're embarking upon hayride season right now. I mean, there are now. I grew up in the north, and we had hay rides. We visited pumpkin patches and all sorts of things. But here, right in Houston, there's tailgate parties and things like that, kind of similar to a hayride.
Well, it is, and I think it does having that type of coverage, if specifically on the directors and officers, and understanding what's in that plan can also direct the types of fundraising you have or the types of events that you'll hold, because you'll know whether you have coverage or not, or if you decide to go in that direction, just understanding what is and is not covered.
And the other thing that comes to mind is, as we have business development people right here in Houston, Texas, many of them, but also around the United States, our people and others are involved in different activities. And every now and then we probably don't think about potential liability and things like that. I know at Stewart Title we pay extra attention to things like that. But at the same time, as we strive to try something different, we might be extra mindful about potential hazards.
Well, absolutely. It's important to know that if a claim happens, if somebody feels like that they've been wronged, if a mistake has been made and you've got some responsibility for that mistake or that error, that you do have some coverage so that you're not solely responsible for whatever those financial responsibilities end up being.
Fascinating. And also, we want to remind people, certainly here in Houston, they know that you're there to help them at Stewart Insurance. But if someone's listening after the broadcast on the internet, we know the show goes far and wide, but certainly here in the United States, people in Indiana, Florida, they can call you and get help there.
Absolutely. So we have clients all over the U.S., both on the business side for, helping them with their directors and officers, their professional liability, general liability, workers' compensation, cyber liability plans. And then we've got clients all over the U.S. for their families and their individuals. So their home, their auto, their wind, their flood, vacation property, motorcycle, vacant land, we can help them with all that as well.
And what else would you like people to know, John?
If they'd like to be properly insured, if they'd like to make sure that they understand and are comfortable with, what responsibility, what coverage, what risk that I'm taking on versus the risk that I'm placing with the insurance partner, and work with an advisor that truly makes sure that you are properly insured, we would love to help. And they can reach us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. They can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com, or they can email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
And the phone number east of the Mississippi?
866-798-2827.
West?
866-798-2827.
There he is, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you. As we wind up the show, here she is, Jamie Fallon. Jamie Fallon, Premier Realty Team. Hey, Jamie, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. And don't confuse me with Jimmy Fallon. I'm way
Jimmy,
cooler.
I never watch it. You
way
are.
Cooler. Yeah.
Way cooler.
Way cooler. Way more articulate in terms of just life in general.
And I would say
he's just a jokester.
I would say so. And way more fun and more informative in the real estate world, no doubt.
I appreciate that. I do. You know what? And you know what it takes? You were saying, give me some tidbits. Okay? Give me a little bit of tidbits. The important thing in the real estate industry, especially when you're buying or selling a home, is having a team. Okay, so I'm in a room full of people that have teams of their own. You've got to have, number one, a real estate broker or agent. Brokers have a little bit more experience, and that's what I am, is a real estate broker. You've got to have the lender on board. You have to have contractors on board. You've got to have the title company. Not only that, you have to have tradesmen. People really discount your tradesmen. They don't think of trades. Everybody went to college.
Super important.
Yeah, everybody in this room, most of us went to college, and trades are even more important now than I think a college degree, to be honest with you. Real estate agents is more of a trade.
No doubt.
Yeah, so if you've got, your inspectors, your electricians, your plumbers, so make sure
AC.
Yeah, and make sure that when you hook up with your real estate agent, your broker, and your partners, they have those relationships. If they don't, then what's their worth to you?
There you go. Well, Jamie, let's tell people how they can reach out to you.
JamieFallon.com, www.jamiefallon.com, or text me, call me, 281-763-9825. Again, that number is 281-763-9825.
And by the way, you may not know this, but Jimmy Fallon is a big listener of the show. He sends me emails all the time. And if you believe that, here it comes. Thank you so much for being with us, Jamie.
Absolutely.
And here she is, Amy Bertrand with the Greater Houston Builders Association. Yeah, she's the CEO. Amy, before we close the show, what else do you want people to know?
You were talking about tradespeople and how important that is to our industry. And I can tell you that's a huge place where we are absolutely
Bet you know some
understaffed.
yeah.
In fact, we are the most recent recipient of a Home Builders Institute Build Strong Academy out in West Houston over Harwin at the Beltway. It's a completely free program. If you want the 6 to 13 weeks to get into the industry, if you're interested in joining our workforce, please check them out, or Work Texas up on the north side. It's Mattress Max facility out behind Gallery Furniture. He's put a ton of his own money into helping create our workforce of tomorrow for home building.
An incredible individual. And when I think of trades, think about the home. How many tradesmen does it take to build a home? Is that a joke? How many tradesmen does it take to build a home?
I think there's an Aggie joke in there.
We could work one up, no doubt about it. Amy Bertrand, let's tell people how they can learn more about the Greater Houston Builders Association.
If you'll go on the web to www.ghba.org or give us a call at our office, 281-890-0970, we'd be happy to tell you more about membership.
And thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
From Cadence Bank, here they are with a tremendous cadence as they walk towards the microphone. Elizabeth Rankin Rice and Robin Hargrove. Hey, Elizabeth, since you're close to the mic,
Yes.
What else do you want people to know?
Well, we joined Cadence for products, and we have product pricing. We're here 7 days a week. 713-875-6444
And
is
you know
my
what?
number.
One thing I like about you, Elizabeth, is you answer that phone, because when I needed help, I called
helped
you.
you. Help.
Actually,
I heard the Beatles
I
in
need
my
somebody.
head. Yes.
Yeah, you actually answered the phone promply.
You. Oh, thanks.
And Robin, as
That's
we
not
close, what else should we know? By the way, Robin, do
Hi
you
there.
sing?
I do not sing. Elizabeth actually does sing. So
Sounds good, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does sound good. She's a good singer. Actually, Cadence Bank, we went there because we have great teams behind us. We brought over an assistant with us who is a rock star. So use a lender that has a team that supports the lender, that's there, that's pushing the loan through, that's creative. So Robin Hargrove with Cadence, 713-582-9487.
And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett, Tom Carpentier, Larry Warren. We appreciate you listening, and we would love to be stewards of your real estate transaction. Simply go to Stewart.com. You can find out more about title insurance. You can find out a location near you. That's right, at Stewart.com. Of course, the full menu of insurance products, StewartInsurance.com. You can find out all about that. And of course, I know you want to see the guests. You want to hear past shows. Simply go to Stewart.com/radio. That's Stewart.com/radio. And until next week, thank you all for listening. Stewart.com/radio.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827. When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, for informative and entertaining information when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate, tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance.